Hello, this is Professor Porter. This is Trial Techniques, and it's broken up into the chapters that you see here on the screen, and we're in the first chapter, public speaking, and I've developed a couple videos from some of the subtopics under that chapter, including this one, which I think is an important topic, extemporaneous delivery, how we want this thing to sound as a speech. And there's probably a point in my career early on when I was pulling the notes out of my students' hands and forcing them to do things without notes, really trying to get them away from particularly reading notes, but just having notes as a crutch to their presentation and getting more to the point of just speaking freely, just delivering extemporaneously. Now, notes are less the issue. It's really the delivery that I'm concerned about. So whether you're using notes or whether, as I would advise, you have notes sort of at arm's reach, at arm's length, but out of the picture, somewhere where you can't even read if you wanted to, but if they had some large points that you could, get your place quickly, or you could, consult them for a starting point to a paragraph or something like that. Something where it can assist you if you need it in a pinch, but not something that's right in front of you where you're going to be reading. And the reason why notes is sort of irrelevant to it, as I've revised this sort of talking point over the years, is there's people that don't have any notes, or the notes are far enough away where I would be happy before they started speaking, but then you can tell in their presentation that it's not extemporaneous, that they're essentially doing these mental teleprompters of bop, 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 and they're really just trying to get out of their mouth at that point that which they've forced in their memory from some other time, and that comes off equally unpersuasive. We've all been in a class, or we've all heard someone speak off a PowerPoint slide where their text that they're saying is right there on the screen for us to read. And we know how quickly we tune out of those. So the last thing you want is for your jury addresses, for instance, to come across as if, oh, he's reading from the sheet in front of them. Instantly, you're losing points in their mind, and you're not talking to them, you're not making any connection, you're not gaining any credibility for your purposes. But it's got to sound, no matter how much you prepared, no matter how much you've quote unquote memorized, no matter how much you organize what you want to say, it has to come off like you're talking to people and you're connecting with them. That's extemporaneous delivery. I'm giving you this information because I know these facts intimately. I'm giving you this information because I've spent time to organize it so that it's accessible to you as an audience. And my notes, to the extent they're on the podium in front of me right here, to the extent they're over at counsel's table, they are really there just to assist. And a popular trick that my students have heard me talk about as far as it relates to extemporaneous delivery and notes, it is a reflection of preparation. If you are going to talk for several minutes, it probably takes several hours to get to that point because you are reorganizing, you're thinking about how you want to craft that paragraph, and then you have to be comfortable with the fact that the audience doesn't know what that paragraph looked like. They don't know what you plan to say here today, so even if you miss a word, even if you get your points slightly out of order, that you're hitting the broad strokes and you're adhering to the more important thing of talking to them. I like putting, if I were to advise anything, let's say I had 4 paragraphs and I've thought about it and it's a 2-minute speech, but I want to, I did spend hours organizing it and coming up with the best, product that I would want to say for those 4 paragraphs. I might just put the starting words or the central theme in big magic marker words, over with my co-counsel, far enough away where I'm not tempted to look at it or go to it, because I've spent so long coming up with my 4 paragraphs that I can do it without notes. But that way, if I hit a spot and for the 3rd point, Your Honor, may I have one moment? And I were to walk over or may I have one moment to confer with co-counsel, and I put my arm around co-counsel, and I, at that time, look like I'm having a conversation with co-counsel, but I also look at my sheet and see the 3rd point. Your Honor, may I resume? And I launch and go on the 3rd point. So the delivery is the most important thing, and it has to be conversational, it has to be extemporaneous no matter how much you prepare, and the notes are sort of a byproduct of that.